According to ESPN, the Chicago Bears do not plan to use the franchise tag on Tevin Jenkins or Keenan Allen. Is that the right move? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Let's look at some of the biggest needs and questions that the Chicago Bears need to find answers to this offseason and dive a little bit into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it for tonight, y'all. And I want to start off with this, right? So do not forget, this week starts the Bears mock draft coverage. So each of me, Bobby, C-Dub, Steve-O, and Big Kev are all going to have our own different mock draft videos. So that's 5 extra episodes you're getting over the course of the week. They'll drop about the mid-afternoon to early evening, Monday through Friday, all this week. So be on the lookout for that extra content coming to the channel and to the podcast side of things to go over our mock drafts. Really excited about bringing you guys that. But with that said, I want to start off with what I have today. So according to ESPN, the Chicago Bears do not plan on using the franchise tag for Keenan Allen or Tevin Jenkins. And if you guys have been listening to me for a while, I kind of thought that would be the case, right? I didn't think the franchise tag, that level of money would be something that the Bears are willing to attach to either Tevin Jenkins or Keenan Allen. And, of course, that brings about the question over their futures with the Chicago Bears. Now, let's start off with Keenan Allen, right? Keenan Allen, who had a solid enough season last year, especially with all the turmoil and up-and-down nature of the Chicago Bears offense, 744 yards for 7 touchdowns, 10.6 yards per reception there for Keenan Allen. And, when it comes down to it, Keenan Allen had, like I said, a productive season, right? That's what I'll label it. There are, of course, some limitations because of the Bears' offense where just certain players weren't going to get numbers, and that's perfectly fine. But when it comes down to Keenan Allen, many people have questioned, like, all right, Keenan Allen was a luxury. He was somebody that we went out there and got when we probably should have been allocating those assets to the offensive line, and where it depends on the money. I still don't necessarily think I won't say 100% that Keenan Allen does not return to the Chicago Bears. I do think that there's a small glimmer of chance with that, depending on the money he's willing to take back and depending upon, what the Bears are willing to offer if they can find a number on that deal. I mean, he was their second leading receiver last year, but when you look at it, Rome Odunze, on less receptions, almost 20 less receptions than Keenan Allen, only had 10 less yards. He had 4 less touchdowns, right, because he wasn't the target that Keenan Allen became for Caleb Williams, especially in the red zone and things like that. But you look at DJ Moore at 966 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. Look at Rome Odunze last year with his 734 yards and his 3 touchdowns. Even Cole Kmet, right, who had 474 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, an average of 10 yards per reception. I do think that with the way that Ben Johnson is going to get creative, that it leads the Bears to not have to re-sign Keenan Allen, right? You take a look at Tyler Scott, take a look at some other wide receivers that are going to be cheaper to fit that third wide receiver role. But I also think as we see an increase in usage like Cole Kmet, I even think Roschon Johnson, as long as he's healthy, is going to be used a lot more in the passing game. We'll see what they do with Jared Everett. He's somebody I think could get cut to kind of make some space for some other in some other places. But not using a franchise tag on Keenan Allen is not surprising. If the Bears are going to bring him back, the money's going to be way less than what the franchise tag money would be for Keenan Allen, and we'll see what the future holds for that. The next player in Tevin Jenkins. Now, Teven, again, doesn't make sense per the money that would be attached to it. The Bears are probably going to look for something way cheaper in that regard, even if they did want to bring Tevin Jenkins back. And much like I said with Keenan Allen, kind of even stronger than the case for Keenan Allen, I do think that there's a world in which Keenan Allen comes back to the Bears. I think there's a very specific scenario in which that could happen, but I think with the health of Tevin, we know what Tevin can be, right? And I've seen some Bears fans say, like, Why are we thinking about moving on from Teven? We know that Teven, all players don't, player health is not in the players, control. And to that, there's a lot that's truthful to that, right? Players don't want to get hurt. There are very few players that look at it and want to be hurt. They don't want to be out on the football field, especially when they're as good as what Teven is when he's healthy. But unfortunately, the Bears aren't in a situation where they can attach long-term money when you have an opportunity to pivot with the money that you do have, with also the draft assets that you do have, that you're in a position to pivot from Teven. And, it's unfortunate that we're talking about this, but, health availability is sometimes the best ability. And Teven has just not been as available as what the Chicago Bears need. And as they're trying to move forward and up the standard that's around here, you got to ask some serious questions and some tough questions with that. And Teven is one of those tough questions that need to find an answer to. Now, if I had to put a percentage on Teven returning to the team, maybe I'll put it like 40%, right? But I think the most likely thing is Tevin Jenkins is not going to be a member of the Chicago Bears. Now, Teven could very well want to take a one-year prove-it deal. If he trusts he's going to be healthy and wants to bet on himself, that is an option for Tevin Jenkins to take a one-year prove-it deal if the Bears do offer it, and then go back into the market next year with hopefully a season of better health under your belt. But that's a risk too, right? So, Teven has to ask that question. Him and his agent have to face that tough question for him and what the future holds. But overall, I think that I've said it before. Tevin Jenkins has probably played his last game in a Chicago Bears uniform, but we'll see what the future holds for that. Now, that leaves it to, are the Bears going to use the franchise tag at all? And the answer to that is no. I think that the Bears actually go through this free agency and don't use the franchise tag at all. I really don't see any major franchise tag candidates here for the Chicago Bears that make sense. So the Bears could very well take a look at this, right? And just decide that, we're just going to try to negotiate. We still can negotiate with these players, but overall, we're not going to really do anything that leads to being franchise tag. When you look at the franchise tag for offensive linemen this year, right, is $25 million on a non-exclusive and $22.7 in a transition tag. The wide receiver, same thing, $25 million, $22.5, on the transition, 25.7 on a non-exclusive. So I just don't see the Bears attaching that money. Yeah, they have cap flexibility, but you don't want to attach that money when you have the fifth most cap space in the league, but you're not really at the position where you can try to make that move. So I think that's what it comes down to for the Bears. I don't see us using the franchise or transition tag, and the Bears are going to go into free agency ready to negotiate, use their negotiating power to figure things the hell out for what the next step is for this team. But I want to turn it over to you guys. Do you feel like not using the franchise tag on Tevin Jenkins and or Keenan Allen is the right move for the Chicago Bears? Or would you like to see the Bears do something different? Let me know that down below. With that said, I want to talk about some of the questions that are left ahead of the Bears to answer this offseason. We know we got, can we improve the offensive line, all those type of questions, but things that are on this roster, right? One of the first ones that the Bears do have to answer when it comes down to it, at least to me, is how do you plan for Jaquan Brisker? Right, me, Bobby, and C-Dub, I think are all going to have safeties on the high list of priorities for us for the Bears this offseason. And some Bears fans have said, we've seen it from you guys. Well, safety isn't really a concern. Well, it is a concern because of Jaquan Brisker and his injury history when it comes down to it. We know that Jaquan has the potential to be a great safety in this league, right? He's shown that. But you look at the concussion and the injury concerns for him. He got a concussion in week 5 of last season and didn't play again. Now, I fully expect him to be ready by the start of 2025, right? But the fact of the matter is, it's still not even a guarantee there, right? So I think the Bears have to address the safety in the draft. And I thought that they had to do so anyway. Kevin Byard only had a 1-year deal left. So I think even if you trust that Jaquan is going to be healthy going forward, you want to start getting the next guy up, right? And I think you have a position, opportunity to do that this year in the draft. I think there are some safeties that can go between round 4 and 5 that make a lot of sense for the Bears in the present and in the future. I think that's a really good question for the Chicago Bears. But Jaquan Brisker and his overall health has to be something that the Bears really, really have to take a look at, because we know what he can be, right? We know what Jaquan can be if he's healthy. But you just can't bet on the health of Jaquan Brisker. You just can't do it. And yeah, last season was shaping up to be a really good season for Jaquan Brisker. But then you look at it, he played 5 games last year. And after that point in time, like it just wasn't enough. So after playing 15 games the first 2 years of his career, he only played 5 last season. So, Jaquan has a lot to show. I think he has a lot that he needs to prove, but the Bears also have to prepare themselves for whatever the future is like and how the game plan with Jaquan Brisker being on their team. Another member of that secondary that I had been really high on and I felt was really promising is Tyrique Stevenson, right? Tyrique Stevenson last year, disappointed the Bears in a lot of reasons. Of course, the Hail Mary play, I think overall his game took a step back from last year as well. And, I came into the season last year saying that the Bears secondary was one of the toughest position groups to crack in the NFL because of the talent that we had on that secondary. And really, last season was a year where the secondary just got worse and worse as the year went on. Of course, we had our bright spots. Not to say that even Tyrique Stevenson didn't have his games where he looked really, really good. Like, heck, he was 4th on the Bears in total tackles last season. Like, Tyrique Stevenson played 16 games, but the thing is really the confidence. And we've seen confidence get shaken and ruin a player before. He had 12 passes deflected, 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions. It's not like Tyrique Stevenson had a terrible year, even statistically, when you look at it compared to last year, right? But things did take a step back. He played 16 games in both his first 2 years, but 65 solo tackles his rookie year, only 51, his second year in the league. But I still think there's a player there in Tyrique Stevenson. I think the reclamation project and getting Tyrique Stevenson back to how I personally viewed him last year is something that goes, don't give up on Tyrique Stevenson yet. I understand the doubt around him, but I do think that they got to look and say, all right, can we correct this development path? Is the new coaching staff going to be able to right this ship of Tyrique Stevenson and get him back focused on being the player that he looked like he was progressing to be after his rookie year? So that's going to be a big, and we've seen players have down sophomore years and bounce right back. Like that wouldn't be exclusive to Tyrique Stevenson. Let's just hope that it's going to be the case where Tyrique is working his way back and getting back on track. And then the last question that's here, we know we got to upgrade the offensive line. But when you talk about Braxton Jones to Bears fans, heck, we even got a voicemail on it today. You get very different opinions and views on Braxton. Braxton can't handle the bull rush. He's a player that, to me, is the same player that what he was when he came into this league. And that is still a player that can be productive, that can be solid for you on your offensive line. But you have to wonder and question, is it a guy that you need to upgrade from? And like I said it on yesterday's live stream. The way that I view it is the Bears have to bring in serious competition for Braxton, meaning somebody who projects to be a starter. And if Braxton can step up and play better than them, great. If not, you move Braxton in the last year of his deal to being a depth piece where I think he's really going to be suited to fit and play even better at, and you figure it the hell out after that. That's just, but it is a question on what you do here with Braxton Jones. Do you feel confident in where you can upgrade in other spots, that you feel that Braxton can play better with a better overall offensive line? And you can take another year at seeing what he's going to turn into before making a long-term decision on his position? That's another question for the Bears. But I think it'd be remiss to ignore that Braxton Jones is a huge question mark here for the Bears and what his future is going to hold for the team, at least in my opinion. But you guys, as always, can let me know how you feel down below. But with that said, Monday, we always dive a little bit into the mailbag on Monday, mainly because we got some overflow. Let's get into this first voicemail, man. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, man? Darius from Dallas here. I just wanted to, talk about a must grab guy that I have some time to, everybody's looking at all these highlight videos and, trying to be their own Chicago Bears personal scout, and YouTubing it. Mason Graham, if he's there at 10, of all the people that I looked at, and I looked at all the ones that could possibly be available, Mason Graham's got to come off the board for us at 10 if he's still there. A guy that, look at how he moves, man. You can slide him over at that 3 technique, slide Javon over to the 5, because to be quite honest with you, Walker's been okay, but Pickens, a little be desired. Neither one of them has done so good on that 5 technique to where we can't just slide Javon down there. But if we get that Mason Graham kid and we put him at that 3 technique, man, it is gonna make everybody on that defensive line better. That kid there is probably, that's probably a top 5 talent-wise player in the draft, so he's probably not gonna be there all I'm saying is, man, if he is, we got to go reach for that. And what do y'all think about, and I could be completely nuts for even trying to consider this, but what do y'all think about taking Braxton, sliding his butt on left guard or right guard? I know that, if we decide to move on from him, I mean, we get one more good year before his contract is up, so we might as well experiment with him. If we're not going to start him at left tackle, we're going to end up getting, drafting a tackle or maybe a Ronnie Staley or something in free agency. If we end up letting Braxton, be the swing tackle, that's cool, but I just wonder, man, because if Braxton, to me, I think he doesn't understand the footwork at left tackle. And so I'm kind of wondering if he would just stick him at guard where he has to guard a smaller, amount of space. Will that make him look a little bit stronger? Will that make him look a little bit more fundamentally sound? Will that slow the game down for him a little bit? I say just try it. Let him go from left tackle to left guard. Just try it out and see. You never know, man. We're at the point with this offensive line where we got to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it and see what happens, So that's just kind of where I am on that, because I know he's got a year left, and I kind of want to see if we can get something out of him. But let me know what y'all think, man. Real big on Mason Graham this year. Real big on doing whatever we can to fix this fucking offensive line, man. But let me know what y'all think. Texas up here now.
Zero chance, Darius. Mason Graham falls to number 10 for the Chicago Bears. Zero chance. It's just not going to happen. I don't think Graham falls below pick number 5 at the lowest, to be 100% honest with you. Maybe 6, but Mason Graham is not going to fall. Now, if he does fall, which is the thing you're throwing out a hypothetical here, if he does fall, the Bears would be stupid not to take this kid at number 10 if he's there at number 10. 6'3", 315 pounds. How he can perform overall, right, on that defensive line as a 3 tech. Listen, I get it that offensive line, but if you compare him with Javon Dexter long term, man, listen, he is the perfect 3 tech. And while we're no longer in Matt Eberflus's system where the 3 tech is hugely important to, still being able to get that pressure and have a player that's versatile is crazy for you. So if Mason Graham seems to fall down to you at number 10, you take him, you worry about the rest later. Graham is just a player that just gets it. He's just a flat-out playmaker on that defensive line, and I could see him being a perennial Pro Bowler and all NFL team person. Like, it is what it is. He's an all-pro level player, and I think this guy's going to be really, really good, but I still don't think there's any way in hell he falls down to number 5 to the Chicago Bears, personally. We'll see. Maybe falls down to number 10 for the Chicago Bears, but hey, you guys can let me know how you feel on that one down below. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from Keys.
Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy Keys on this lovely Saturday evening. Hope everybody's doing well and not getting sick, man, because it's definitely out here, bro, and I'm fighting it myself. But let's get to it, man. Watch the Saturday afternoon show with Bobby. Bobby, shout out to you. Good job with the hosting, man. All you guys are awesome. But, man, I just want to pick at something that's been bugging me, man. What's up with this whole Cole Kmet slander from everybody, bro? I'm trying to justify and see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, granted, there was some things last year. His numbers were down all across the board. But sometimes I don't think it was all because of him, man. I think Cole Kmet, now, top 10 tight end, probably not. But he could be worse. You know what I'm saying? And I know we trying to be the best. But let's be realistic, bro. I think the problem with last year, if it's me being true and honest with y'all, right? I think Caleb had too many weapons. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you got, it's like anything with cooking, bro. You got too many chefs in the kitchen, somehow it get fucked up. And Cole was the part that got fucked up. And I think if we would have kept the concept that very similar to what Philadelphia has done with Jalen Hurts, you know what I'm saying? They got a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. This past year we had a running back, 3 wide receivers, and a tight end. You know what I'm saying? So Keenan Allen ain't gonna lose no touches. And DJ don't want to lose no touches. And Roland his boy. So somebody got to lose the touches. And I think with the track record of Ben Johnson not only being a tight end coach and being somebody who knows the role of tight end and how they're supposed to catch the ball get open and all those things like that. Yeah, man, I think Cole is due for a really good year. He did it with T.J. Hawkinson, and then you got rid of T.J. Hawkinson, and they got better with Sam Laporta. I don't know if that's going to be the same case with the Bears this past year, but, man, some of us just need to cut it out with this whole offseason talk because we get over our heads a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then, I'm looking at everything with the whole Trey Smith stuff. We may not be in reach of getting them. Look, I'm a person that played ball, right? And I played nose tackle, so that shit ain't easy, but I've always felt like when I played on the team, it was always a chance for something bound to happen that people didn't expect. And I do expect the Bears to make that move. But let me know what you guys think. As always, Chi-Town up, bear down.
Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is always an interesting player to talk about because it's like you for people that just look at like the stat sheet. Yeah, Cole Kmet didn't have a great year last year. But then for people who go deeper into the game, like there were several games last year where he had 0 targets. 0. Zilch. None. 0 targets. So I think the chemistry between him and Caleb Williams must get better. I also think having a coach that better game plans for the tight ends, again, the one benefit that, well, not one, but one of the benefits that Ben Johnson's bringing is that he builds his scheme towards to the skill set of the players that he has and the personnel that he has. But after 719 yards last season and 6 touchdowns, only 474. He only had 55 targets this past season. The year before, 90. Matter of fact, this is the lowest amount of targets that Cole Kmet had since his rookie year at 44. So, yeah, listen, there's that aspect to be said that, hey, listen, Cole Kmet is better than what the numbers tell you. He just has to be schemed into it better. But there still are things that Cole Kmet has to get better at. He rushes right into guys and gets taken down, right? Like he thinks that he can just sometimes bulldoze through tackles that he can't. And, every player has things that they can improve on. But the people that's just knocking Cole Kmet as some bad player, he's not. Now, I did think last year going into the season that was going to be a year he establishes himself as a top 5 tight end. He didn't. Now, under Ben Johnson, he has the opportunity to do that. We'll see what the future holds, but I'm not down on Cole Kmet yet. I want to see how a coach and an offensive staff like what Ben Johnson builds here uses Cole Kmet. That's my personal opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel on that down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.